Hey, welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. My name is Peter Howd at PA Howdy on Twitter, senior writer for DLF, as is everyone on this show. We're all DLF members because this is going out in the DLF live stream, so I just thought I'd point that out. Everyone here must be part of DLF. I got nothing. Again, second week, I got nothing. I tell you what, I've got my dynamic sound left on, which I recently found was a setting to make me be able to rock out even harder while playing with spreadsheets. But apparently there's a setting that you can use called dynamic sound, which makes basically bass louder. As far as I can figure, that's the real effect. But the ticking clock for this stream, the countdown, the dum dum dum, that hits real hard. That hits real hard with dynamic sound on. I regret it. Yeah, we got a few watches, so I guess I can quit vamping. Welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. You got any questions, comments, insults, please drop them into the comments box. We'll be happy to try and answer them. We do try and work down them one by one as they turn up we're streaming on multiple platforms, so they come in a rough order. I'm sorry if we get to you late, even if you asked it fairly early, but we do try and, I don't know, democratize it a little bit. It's just the order in which they come up in the stream. So please be patient with us or listen back later. Who knows? We will try to get to everyone. And no one's told me they have to leave because particularly, but we do try and get out of here before midnight. Other than that, thanks very much. And I know it's find the appropriate button because I'm, just really well organized as usual. Yeah, I wondered. I didn't think that was going to work well. No, welcome back. Hey, Russ. Hey, Zach. DLF senior members also, I'm sure.
I haven't been here from the beginning of the show to hear that rockin' music in a little while, but
right,
I felt good.
It gets you going. You know what I mean? No, seriously, you should listen to that countdown clock with dynamic sound on it. It actually kind of hurts a little bit. I'm going to be honest.
You're old.
I'm very old. I listen to very old music too. There you go. Well, that's the thing. Old music is like, I was reading something the other day that said music that, I used to get in trouble for listening to is now played in the speakers of the mall. And I'm like, same feeling, almost with minimal censorship these days as well. Adam's got a few questions with us to start off. He was in here at 8:50, so I feel like he's working harder than us. Appreciate that, Adam. He's in a 10-team, 2-quarterback league, and he's wondering what veteran wide receiver he can get for an early and late second-round pick in this draft. I actually looked this one up because I was a little early and I was bored. DLF calculator pulls up a few interesting names. Interesting enough, it's a similar range, not exactly, but a similar range as Courtland Sutton, which I think is a really interesting trade. That's not just a veteran wide receiver that's got possible upside this year. Also, Keenan Allen. But that's only because Keenan Allen continues to be worth almost nothing because Dynasty players don't know what they're doing a lot. But this is a dangerous year to trade for those 2014, 2015 type wide receivers in terms of future value. But I think those are two pretty good names. Anyone jump off the page after all my vamping there, guys?
No, but Adam, if you can get Courtland Sutton for that, absolutely do it. I think the play that I'm going to make is I wait till I'm on the clock with that 204. If David Bell is on the clock at 204, I'm going to draft David Bell, and then I'm going to trade the 210 for Jarvis Landry and be very happy.
You got two Jarvis Landrys on your team.
Absolutely. But I would go after, like, Courtland Sutton is the real play there, especially because you're getting future value.
You're probably going to have to add, I think, because, they're just going to look at 2 seconds, especially, like you say, if you're not on the clock already, so it feels like it's so far away. But, I would easily throw another wide receiver or running back that everyone loves, but, isn't probably got the upside in for that trade. I'd be fine with that. Russ?
My default is always just to say Keenan Allen, but you said that already.
Yeah, Keenan, I mean...
That's
pretty much got a free ham sandwich. Just try. You never know. Apparently, according to ADP, you might get that one Keenan Allen owner who's like, this guy sucks. I hate these perpetual top 12 seasons. They suck.
But he's old now, so that's not going to be good.
You might get that guy, so always just try. Randy Wyatt, my draft was Sunday. Congrats. Hope it went well. He got London at 103.
JMO
JMO
110.
Jameson Williams.
Williams, right?
Yep.
I'm forgetting the rookies. I'm realizing it's the time that the redrafters start to come back, so everyone's reposting their rookie takes, and I'm like, I've forgotten all of mine. It was a while ago now. But anyway, yeah, Williams and Dotson at 202, which I feel like is pretty good value, unless David Bell was on the board. Brian Robinson, right? Brian Robinson?
Yep.
Yeah, that feels right. 203, which seems a little early, but it's fine.
6 running backs taken by
That's what I
203,
was stuck on.
which means David Bell was still there, man.
David Bell was there, so was Trey
Walker,
McBride,
Cook.
White, Spiller.
I guess that makes sense. But at the 203,
I think I would have gone
early for the
McBride.
running back,
I would have gone Bell there. I think they're pretty sure they would have both been on. In fact, I would have done that 202.
if
But
there
you
was
got
some
Dotson, which
PPC,
is fine.
maybe. Like, yeah, sure. But that's wow.
I like Robinson a little bit, but not that much. Not this much.
I love
but
that
it's fine.
314 pick.
Justin Ross at
Justin
314,
Ross
just to rub it in our faces. We're all out here trying to desperately get him on our rosters. And you're like, oh, he's just randomly there at the end of the third round. Nice. Tyler Algier, he's probably going to be nothing. Just a reminder, we have said that, but we like the swing. Tyler Algier, I don't know. He's in like the Brian Robinson category for me. It's like, sure, roster running backs, but I don't.
Yeah.
If it happens, I'll be like, see how high I had him ranked. But really, I'm not. Don't care. It's a 14-team Superflex, which does matter. I feel like there were a lot of picks in that early second round that I would have taken. I feel like he skipped on Burks for London too. I'm just suspicious here. I think he did fine per ADP. He probably reached on Robinson when some other players were on the board, but you made up for it with Ross. I think he did pretty well, and I'm assuming you got the players you like, so that's good.
Dotson fell to pick 16. That's pretty crazy. Like, I'm not the biggest Dotson guy, but man, he should be pick 11, 12, 13. Like, that's pretty far.
By the sound of it, he was pushed down by those running backs that were reached for. So I can understand that.
I think you did good though.
Yeah. You certainly seem to have gone and got the players you wanted, especially if you took Robinson there. I'm just still a little sore on it. Adam's back with another question. With the same 2 picks, where could he trade up to? If you give the 4th and the 10th overall picks, where could you get to in this draft? Or should you try for a 23 first? Just cut off the answer here. Like, you're not getting a 23 first for the 4 and the 10, but that is the goal. Like, if you can add and get
I don't think you will.
So I'm just going to say, in like all situations, that's probably the answer, but we think it's a harder thing to get. So I think how far up could you trade is probably a more interesting question. I don't think you get into the first round with a 4 and the 10. And the second
I was thinking
round,
the 2-1.
right? It's like giving
which is why I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, it's like giving 2 dimes for a nickel. No, two nickels for a dime. Like no one wants that.
Well, but we decided this was a 10-team league, though, right? So so you're moving up into that. Like, again, if you want to stay in this draft, the interesting part of this draft is somewhere between 101 and like 112, or like the 12th pick. So trading up to the 201, you might end up with somebody like Dotson. You might end up with Sky Moore. You might end up with David Bell. Like there are players there that are fine.
It's weird. I think the interesting range of this draft is the first 3 picks in the first round and the first 3 picks in the second round. It's like you can get those first 3 picks in the second round anywhere, but like we don't want to. We want to trade down to them, but
yeah, I don't think I'd be trading up into this draft, Adam. I think it would be either trading it for veteran players, or if you can put together those picks with something else and get a 23 first, fantastic. If you can't, go make those plays for Sutton, go make the play for Keenan Allen, go make the play for, pick David Bell at 204 and draft and then trade for Landry or somebody like that. Like, those are the
210 probably gets you Landry
23 second and to go get the 23 first. I would do that too. 3 seconds for a first. I would do that.
Again, that's what we would try to do, but if we couldn't, I mean, that 210 can get you Landry by itself. It can get you Thielen, probably get you Thielen by itself.
Easy.
Probably.
Both together, or get you Allen. I think we're much more in that camp than the first question was more our speed than this. Bazaltzberg, 12-team Superflex, 4-point touchdown, 0.5 PPR. Welcome. How do you take the 107? Pickett to pair with Trubisky or Olave. Your roster doesn't matter to the player that you select. That's the way I play it. Like, I'm selecting the player I think gets the most points. And Pickett, I probably don't take towards the latter half of the first round. So the 107's in the range. But if Olave's on the board, I'd probably go Olave. Yeah.
Yeah, I have Pickett in Superflex as the 9th player off my board behind Hall, Burks, Wilson, London, Jameson Williams, Olave. So there's your answer. And then Pickens, Kenneth Walker. And then it's Pickett for me. And you can't make me like it. I've drafted Pickett a couple of times because I had teams where I finished, decently and then needed a quarterback and was back in that range. And so I took Pickett, but you can't make me like it.
Can't make me like my own draft board. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I probably have him even a little lower than the 9, to be honest with you. But yeah, you can. I mean, it's a quarterback.
Yeah, like read your league. If you don't like either of these guys and you can't trade the pick, read the league. If it's a very overvaluing quarterback league, just take Pickett because he'll at least be value insulated longer than Olave will, though I think Olave will have plenty of time, especially with the offense is going to be weird with new coach for the first time in 16 years, Jameis, and that's really it. And now it seems like without Kamara for at least 6 games, so Olave's going to get a big benefit of the doubt, but also could just get a ton of targets. So it's read your league. If they're a quarterback league, just take Pickett because you'll be able to move him easily.
We say that positionally, and that's true by and large, but I would also say, I haven't forgotten his name, the Miami guy who got traded after his first year. Like, quarterbacks can just go too. It's relatively more rare, but this is the year I'd bet on it. But again, I think Outhouse has got the right approach here. If you don't like either, probably just lean the positional.
It was such a weird if you do like events that led to Josh Rosen. That's not going to happen very often.
It doesn't happen very often.
But I love that it does happen in this league because it destroyed Dynasty security.
And it's not just Josh Allen it's happened to be clear, but yeah, it's very rare. It is rare. So Outhouse is right. If you don't have a preference, honestly, just take Pickett. But I take Olave because I have a preference.
I prefer Olave, but yeah, if you don't care, I think the quarterback's the right way to go.
If a year from now you take Pickett and Pickett fails and you showed us this trade again, we'd be like, yeah, that wasn't a bad mistake. That was understandable to do that. It's not a silly thing to do. But if you are fine with Olave, I think you go that way. I think the real message here is having Trubisky doesn't really sway me one way or the other. No. And it would be the same even if it was a good quarterback. It's not about your roster. That's so much trade.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, that was too much. And Nicholas J, need yours help. That's never true. Everyone I ask says don't do it. We're here for you. Do it. I don't know. But hell, I'm going to ask it anyway. I got Hollywood on a rebuild team. Cool. Paired with Cut, doesn't matter, but cool. Should I trade Hollywood and a 23-second? No.
Why would you pay up to get older for a guy who's not going to play the first 6 weeks?
No. That's not like you're being contrarian. You're just like, I'm going to give a higher value asset away plus something for a lower value asset with the same level of upside and floor. Like,
I mean, now I may
everyone tells me not to give this $10 bill away for free, but I'm gonna ask anyway. That's what
I'll get a 5 back, and
I may be the one person on this panel who prefers Godwin to Hollywood, but I still wouldn't add a second to Hollywood to go get Godwin, just for the exact reason you've laid out.
There you go.
Godwin over Hollywood.
Okay.
I just really like Hollywood.
And that's fine. I think he's going to be great. I think he's in a good situation. I think he's a good wide receiver. I think Godwin is a better wide receiver.
Yes,
and when he's healthy, is a better fantasy asset. But But I'm not adding a second to make that bet.
Regardless of team position, by the way, like rebuilding doesn't even matter in this one.
Right.
I think it's pretty clear everyone's saying here on the Dynasty Crossroads that we hate Chris Godwin. We don't think he's good. And Marcus Brown is better. I personally don't have an opinion on who's better because I don't play that way. I think they're both relatively likely to give you the same amount of points when healthy. And Marcus Brown is younger and on a better offense, especially for the long term since Godwin's going to be out the first 6 weeks. And my colleagues here entirely agree. Anyway, on to the next question, and never referencing an earlier question after it's gone past. Nicholas J., what do you guys think about trading defense? There's 4 crappy Ds left on waivers in a 12-team, 1 QB league. I traded my Ravens D for Algier and Brate. I probably wouldn't, and I don't even have a strong opinion on Ravens D. Thinking to trade Algier for Steelers D. What do you think?
I literally played 1 league, 1 season of Dynasty with defenses, and I literally ignored it and still won. I
actually loved defenses in redraft back when it was redraft and DST, but the if you have a good one, you just keep it. None of the others are worth shit. And if you don't have a good one, don't spend things to get one. As Russ said, you just no.
And the other part, Nicholas, is you don't know. Like, even though you think you don't know what's a good defense until the season starts, basically.
That's the thing. There are some that you can feel pretty confident about, but honestly, ranks just invert regularly from the best to the worst, like no matter how good they are. I mean, Ravens is probably pretty solid and safe, but I mean, that's why we don't trust it, because it can literally invert. Right. So, yeah. Adam, 10-team, 2 QB league. He is. He's got questions. I like him. Mike Williams plus what for Cup?
First and a second.
The entire value of Cooper Cup. If you can get it for,
unnecessarily harsh.
No, it's not. If you can get it for less than that, and I would also do that deal. Mike Williams he's got a lot of hope. In redraft, they're drafting him as wide receiver 17. It's not like he doesn't have potential. But like I'm not in on it. I'd rather draft Josh Palmer later, especially since I'm actually a dynasty player. So yeah, Mike Williams is you'll give me something for him. Cool. Let's make some trade that I would do slightly cheaper. So whatever it takes.
I would, because it's a 10-team league, assuming you're starting 9 or 10 and not more, I would probably throw a first and a second on top of Mike Williams to go get Cup, because that lineup will matter. He'll matter more in your lineup than, well, man, firsts next year in the 2 QB. Maybe that might be worth a lot because of the amount of QBs that are coming in, but I would pay.
Not if you do well.
So now even though Peter says we can't go back, we go back to Adam's first question. We put the 210 with Mike Williams, and next year's first get Cooper Kupp, and then draft David Bell, and then we're happy.
There you go. We fixed it. Zach did. I couldn't keep up with that train of thought, but it sounded like a good idea. Randy Wyatt, 14-team Superflex. Quarterbacks are Hurts, Wilson, get rid of Wilson, Wentz, get rid of that guy, and also Mariota. JT Harris, Brian Robinson, very popular right now. So is Tyler Algiers. He's got Jamar Chase, Elijah Moore, London. He's stacked a young wide receiver, I would say. Dotson, Sammy Watkins. He's rebuilt in 2022. Not the best year for it, but he did it. He's done it well.
Hurts.
He's got Pitts, Gronk. Gronk retired, just letting that out the bag. Start 8. Contender, pretender. Way too much youth. You're getting into the playoffs, and you've got some great
year.
heights.
You're going to be fantastic.
Yeah, because he's got
8
a QB1, and then whatever you want for a QB2, whether Wilson and Wentz, you can kind of stream them. You got 2 of the top 3 running backs, right? Assuming that's that's Damian Harris. Sorry, I saw Harris. Got one. I thought Najee. So he's got one of the. So yeah, I'm not as excited. It's like
Damian Harris is good. He's good in this format. I mean,
in start 8 though, like I would take 2 of these young wide receivers and go to get a good,
old quarterback.
Like if I could take 2 of them and turn them into like AJ Brown,
mash all that hype and value at the young wide receiver with Zach Wilson and go get an actually good quarterback, like a top 5 quarterback.
Normally in a 14-team, depth matters, but you're only starting 8, so it's not as important.
You just studs.
Yeah, so I would
as many as possible.
Yeah,
and you've got three here, which is great. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even.
4.
That's great.
Hurts, Pitts, JT,
Hurts, and stream the rest of those quarterbacks. Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase. I still really like Elijah Moore. One of those young wide receivers, Kyle Pitts, and whichever those guys you trade for. That's a solid starting lineup. You need some stuff to go right for that to be a championship team, but you're not going to be bad. Plus, you got Sammy Watkins, so you're set.
It's like a playoff
week
team.
1.
playoff team, but you're growing, and that's not a bad place to be. It's not like, you're in the middle tank. You're in the middle in a good way. If you know.
So there's a very well built dynasty team.
There's another. Hold on. This is a 2-parter. We didn't even get to the.
Oh.
Would you use should be early because the teams who whatever. Best QBs Mac Jones 223 first for increasing my chances at a ring. If you really think you're in a position to push for a title, I don't think 2022 is the year to do it. I'm sorry, a lot of shit's going to go sideways on us this year. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And so any way you try to do that, it's more likely to squeak out from under your fingers. And this really well-built dynasty team with a lot of value is suddenly struggling when it shouldn't be. So I wouldn't this year. But I love the energy. I would love the energy.
Trade yours away.
I like like the idea that, Russ, when you were talking about some of these young wide receivers, because there's still some hype on this class. There's still hype on London. There's still hype on Jameson Williams. There's still hype on Dotson. Those are the players that
some of them are going to be good. Just to clarify, they're going to be good players here.
But that's fine. But I don't know which one. And
that's
so
the problem.
So those are the guys that I'm moving to go try to bolster this team in the near term, but also in the long term. So I'm going to go look and try to get somebody like a CeeDee Lamb for a couple of them, for example. Or I mean, I don't know if you can work something where you get Justin Jefferson without giving up one of those 23 firsts.
Or again,
probably not.
No. Yeah. I think their team is going to be good enough where they're not going to get that early of a pick. So if I could just give up yours and hold the one you think is going to be early, I would do that to go get someone like, especially someone like, if you could walk away with Chase and Jefferson.
Yeah.
I don't know what that feels like, but like that has to be like one of the best feelings in fantasy football.
It's nice
to have. Oh, and Jonathan Taylor.
No, yeah, I think
that would be ridiculous.
Yeah. Like
adding another top 5 quarterback to Hurts would be.
Yeah, that's another
move. Here's the thing, like I'm thinking
second QB spot. I don't want to pay up for a quarterback.
That's fine. And like I said, you can do it at wide receiver or running back even. 22 just has me in like anxious fits I think the best things to go and get dynasty wise for winning this year are already well valued. We're mostly projecting the best breakouts and there's risk in that. And so it's the worst year to go get them. Like last year, it was a great year. The best, most likely wide receivers to break out into the top 12 last year were ranked in the 30s. It was a great year to go all in to pay that value to try and win. This year, the 2 best wide receivers to break out, most likely to break out for the first time in the top 12, are both ranked inside the top 8 wide receivers. Like Dynasty's on it this year, and they still might miss. So it feels like the worst year to go and get the best assets to try and win. Or you're bleeding value for Team Old Guy, which I love. But again, this team's built around youth and value. I just kind of hate that move in Dynasty.
Don't ruin it.
That's the thing.
To me, Peter, though, this year the values are coming in Denver, first of all, because both Judy and Sutton are ranked outside the top 30 or just barely in the top 30.
The best targets are a little sideways, and they still care. So, yeah, Sutton's a great one. Judy, maybe.
And even like Darnell Mooney is being undervalued. He's he's like 27 or 28 in terms of wide receivers. Like, I think there's some meat on that. But, like, there are some. I think Ayuk, even though you traded him away.
I hated doing that, though. Sorry.
I like that move. No, I like that move for you. I like getting the second back. I like getting Jarvis Land. I like the pieces you got. I really do.
I do too, but John thought I meant spite trading because I don't like the player. I spite traded because no one else would give me Brandon Ayuk's values. I'm like, I'm going to go help the team in my league with all the quarterbacks. Like, that's the thing no one wants to see happen. I'm like, no one wants to pay Ayuk's value. He's going to get him cheap. And that's what I did. Like, no one will give me Ayuk's value. And I must have sent out 50 trades. I'm like, you know what? I'm sending them for Landry. Let's see how you all like that. John just got richer for nothing. I am
having a lot of trouble coping with Peter moving away from Team Old Guy. It's not the good. Cognitive dissonance is deafening.
It causes a lot of internal problems, I gotta say. Like, I find myself doing weird things, and I think it's because my brain's all switched around. It's not normal. 2020. Well, it's like the Sutton thing. It's not that Sutton isn't a value like Debo and Cup and everyone else were last year. It's that they are less likely to be the values, but they are the best values this year, if you know what I mean. The best dynasty targets to go win right now are like the worst, are slightly less likely. It's a weird year to try and win and go all in this year, especially if you're using value to do it. Again, it's just a weird year. I think things are going to go sideways. I think we're going to see more breakout running backs than we expect. I think this class that we all say is not a running back class is going to produce like impressively usable fantasy wide receivers. And then we're going to go in on that and we're going to be disappointed because of 2023. Now that's projecting way too much out, way too far, but I'm all in. This is 2016. We're seeing history repeat itself. Like, I think that's what's happening. And so if I'd gone all in on 2016, like you would immediately be in a rebuild by 2017. Like, I just don't want to take those slightly less likely risks this year, like Sutton versus, paying Debo prices last year. Yep. But, I'm on a ledge. You could easily fall because you're literally saying history cycling. I'm predicting 7 things based on all 6 of the ones. I could just be wrong, but I just don't. That's what I do. I try and build a story out for what the season's going to be, and I kind of go all in on it. And the story this year is telling me to not go all in on it. Adam's back. Look at that. Took Watson, Rodgers, and Zach Wilson, 12-team Superflex. If Watson misses a year, like, this seems to be a perpetual weak question. I think at this point, I'm just happy to assume he does, by the way. I would be happy to see him miss a year, too. And Wilson doesn't take a major step. I also don't think that's going to happen. I want to sell Rodgers mid-season. What should I try and get back? I'm slightly worried about Rodgers. I don't know. Now's not a better time to try and trade him.
I was thinking go get it first. I think we're going to have Russell Wilson syndrome with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to be very good at what they're going to ask him to do because they don't have the wide receivers. And yes, he is good enough to make his wide receivers better. But I feel like they're going to run a lot, but he is an insanely efficient passer. So he will be good with the passes he throws, but the volume probably won't be there.
That's where I'm at.
Spook, not people that are,
who don't understand player values go up and down a lot, and they're like, what's happening right now is, what's always going to happen. I think Aaron Rodgers is more of a top 12 quarterback than a top 5 for literally the first time. And the reason is, I think who is good in the NFL is a balance between the skill players and the quarterback. I don't think it's 90% one, 90% the other. So the question going around my Twitter timeline right now is, who's Aaron Rodgers going to make great? And once you say that's not probably how it works, even if it's just 70-30, then Aaron Rodgers has to drop. And so I think mid-season will be a worse time to trade Rodgers. But again, I could be wrong, so I don't want to tell you to do that for a fact. But that's where my head would be. I would be wanting to trade all of these guys. I think their value is going to drop in season, which is rough because none of them have particularly high value right now. Now, Zach, break in with some more common sense because I just, I'm spouting nonsense over here.
No, I think my question though is, so Russ said that Aaron Rodgers' volume is going to go down, which I agree with. I mean, I agree that passing game doesn't look as good. No offense to Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, but it doesn't look as good with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Alan Lazard as it did with Devontae Adams. Like it doesn't. And Rodgers wasn't a 600 pass attempt a year. Like he was like low 500s anyway. And so if you dial back volume a little bit in that offense, like I'm with you. Like that gets scary. He's super efficient. He's very good, but it is scary, and it's scary to bet on him putting up that top 5 to be able to trade him for a top 5. Whereas right now he's coming off the top 5 and you might be able to get that value. It's hard, but it's hard to tell you to trade your QB1 before the season in a super flex. But
if these are your 3 quarterbacks in super flex, I think you're in danger when the season starts, because I think Watson's not playing. I think Rodgers is going to be less than he's been. Not that he's always going to be less than he's been, just slightly a top 12, not a top 5. And Wilson, I think they're going to flame out. So yeah, I'd probably be. I mean, unless the rest of my squad's strong, in which case you don't need quarterbacks to win a superflex. Fuck it. But unless I'm in that position where I've got like 2 stub running backs and like a plethora of great wide receivers, then I'm trying to build a little bit, or at least retool. But yeah. So if you don't feel that way, you don't have to follow it. But that's when, if you're asking, that's when my head's out on them. What do you think about Cup, Knox, and Kyle Trask? I think nothing about Kyle Trask. Is Kyle Trask right? I don't think I've spent any thought on him. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 3rd superflex for Brady. I think that's Cup for Brady.
Well, no. They're just saying they have Brady. The trade is Cup, Knox, and Trask for 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a 3rd.
Sorry. See, idiot. Told you.
The picks are the value, I think.
Yeah. I think,
but like, who cares if you have Brady if you just traded away Cooper Kupp and Dawson Knox? Like, what else? Unless, like, that's if you have a very active league, more power to you, man. You'll be able to do something with those first seconds, but
yeah, just the elephant Zach method. I think you would struggle to get 2 firsts for Kupp right now just because of his age. You would struggle to get 2 seconds for Knox because he's a tight end who's heavily dependent on touchdowns. Right. And yeah, I guess someone would give you a 3rd for Trask, but no one really cares. They wouldn't. Yeah, probably. So yeah, I think it's easily the pick side here, even though, Cooper Kupp, team old guy.
Yeah, you can absolutely do something with those picks to keep yourself competing if you are competing.
Yeah. Adam, he's back.
Dude, he's like getting his money's worth, right?
Right? I lost it. Sorry. Many years ago, but sorry, I lost track of the chat here. Is there a wide receiver that may be getting overlooked? Yeah, plenty. Is this a good receiving class? So specifically talking about rookies, the wide receiver that is being overlooked, wait for it, I think is
David Bell.
We're all on David Bell. I think that's
Pickens is the other one that I think maybe because everybody is really excited about Chase Claypool. The breakout is coming. And I think
we're kind of AJ Browning Pickens without realizing we're AJ Browning him.
Yeah.
You have me going after a share or a few of Tyquan Thornton.
Yep. And I like that. Like, you can get Tyquan Thornton in the 3rd round of rookie drafts.
I kind of don't care. It makes complete sense. It makes complete sense, and I'm like, yeah, but like, I don't.
Do you know what the Patriots do well with wide receivers? They run little slants, little crossing routes. That's what Mac Jones does well. Coincidentally, that's what Tyquan Thornton does well. And if you can get him in the 3rd or late 2nd, which is where, like, he's there in the 3rd round.
There, because I don't remember him even going that early.
Yeah, and maybe he's there in the 4th round. I don't know, but I've been getting him in the 3rd, and I'm very happy about it, Peter, because athletically he's one of the better wide receivers in this class, and with what the Patriots do and don't have, I know they have Kendrick Bourne, but they don't have a receiver that is as dynamic as Tyquan Thornton, and so like he's the guy that I've been getting later.
See, I think the Patriots do that well because Wes Welker and Julian Edelman do that well. And now I appreciate you saying Tyquan Thornton does that well, but I don't have anything to show that he's done it well compared to other players coming up. Mainly because Wes Welker and Julian Edelman didn't fucking play wide receiver in college, to be fair.
But
so I have nothing to compare him to. I get the argument, and it's so cheap, it doesn't matter. You're right. You're absolutely right. But
it's the same thing they did last year with the whose name escapes me, but who doesn't score touchdowns. Like it's literally the same thing, but he's not athletic.
Myers.
Yeah. Like it's literally the same routes, but Myers can't run away from people. Tyquan Thornton can run away from people, and so
he couldn't catch
very quickly.
If you give him those routes, if you make him that player,
if he can excel on them, and you're saying he can, I get that, and that would be my argument. But I don't. Outside of your word, which I do trust, Zach.
But again, Peter, it's
at its value, it doesn't matter.
It's a third or a fourth round pick. So like if you miss on that, whatever. But the ceiling, which is what we're looking for in later rounds, is there.
I thought I traded for Thornton somewhere, but I guess I didn't. That's upsetting. I guess I have to go try again.
I actually just keep targeting Hunter Henry in that offense. And also I've got Kendrick Bourne. I don't know how that happened, although I do know how that happened.
We all know how you ended up with Kendrick Bourne. You're the only one to take him in the past 6 years.
Pretty much. But it's not like I like him. I do like him, but I don't like him over Thornton. I think they're both reasonable bets. They're ADP. But yeah, Henry seems to be my exposure, but it makes perfect sense. It doesn't show up in my process. It doesn't Zach, and Zach hits a lot. That's all I'm saying. Waddle or Higgins?
Waddle.
I need so much context to that question. Startup draft, straight up trade.
I think Waddle's the answer in all of them.
It's super close,
but if it's
and not because of anything against Higgins. I've said this before, and I don't remember if I said it on the show. Higgins can finish as the wide receiver 1 this season, and he'll still be ranked behind Chase next year.
Yeah.
So I think Waddle will always be the value. Always is a strong word. Unless he tanks this next year with Hill there, Waddle will be the value over Higgins just because Jamar Chase exists. Points-wise, they'll probably be pretty close.
I'll take the repeat over the breakout just in general, especially since they're both young and good. So, yeah, it's Waddle.
I think Higgins is a little bit younger than Waddle. I mean, not much, negligible, but like months.
I don't think Higgins was in the top 12. Waddle was.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that.
I mean, I'm going to go check now.
But that's a splitting hairs, though. I mean, they're
that's the question. Like they're both I think these are similar value. This must be a trade, in which case I'd say don't trade same position.
Do it. Yeah. Higgins was wide receiver 15 in points per game.
Hey, well, no, season long.
15. Well, he missed games. 15.65 for Higgins, and Waddle was 16.1 points per game.
I don't care about the points per game so much as my arbitrary boundary of top 12. Again, it's splitting hairs, so I'll take an arbitrary boundary. Like this shouldn't be a trade that happens. It's ultimately my answer.
Take them both. Take them both, Paul. You want both of them.
You want both, pretty much. Bazaltzberg, again, 12-team Superflex, 4-point touchdown, same league. Aaron Fields?
No, A or B are the...
Brian Higgins. I don't... Oh, A or B, that makes sense. Fields or Higgins?
Well, now I want Aaron Fields or Brian Higgins.
I do kind of want to know who Aaron Fields and Brian Higgins are. The first and the second is confusing me. Is that on the Higgins side?
That is on the Higgins side.
I want first and second.
As much as I like Justin Fields, as much as I hope and thought, I'm trying to think, but I thought that he was going to be great. I'm going to be on the Higgins side because I know I've got a top 10 wide receiver. I know I've got the 23 first, and I'm happy with that. I'm gonna call the 23 first my quarterback coming back, although it doesn't have to be.
If it was more teams than 12 and more starting than 9, I might change that answer, but I agree with everything Zach said.
Are we all on the like Lawrence Fields are giving us the heebie-jeebies, and if you can trade them in moves like this, then I would, because people are gonna hold on to that. And Zach Wilson, same thing. People are gonna hold on to that longer than I'm willing to. And
Fields, I learned from Tua. Like, I still think Tua's better than what we've seen, but a team can tank its quarterback. And when a team is telling you, we want to ruin this quarterback, just believe them. They do not care about players. This team wants to ruin Fields. It's going to ruin Fields. That's bare minimum rookie evaluation, but I do think Fields looked like a better prospect than he's been.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So I'm explaining it that way to myself. And like I said, the first needs to be a quarterback. Higgins, this price is way and away. What I would say, as a want to bet on all of them, none of their values has dropped enough that I'm comfortable with it. So they're all heebie-jeebies.
Yep.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. I bought a share or two.
Except Wilson.
Wilson.
There's probably nothing that could happen to Wilson's value that would make me go and trade for him. But Fields and Lawrence, yeah.
I'm in enough leagues where I like having just in case shares, and the Jets tried. The Jets absolutely tried to surround this guy with everything they can. So, and
it's not like Wilson doesn't have talent. Like, I like to joke, but I mean, he's an NFL quarterback. He's literally, But I just,
Lawrence, I'm not happy enough with what I think I can get in return for him to trade him away. But yeah, I'm worried.
Yeah, and this trade in particular is just pure value, but I haven't found good enough value in any of those quarterbacks you mentioned to be interested in them. I want to say buy Lawrence, because honestly, the thing that sticks in my head is Travis May, whose evaluations tend to be pretty solid. He's a little bit too addicted to college. He's a little bit too addicted by stars and his percentage of players that come from certain high schools, but he's a solid chap. And the thing I remember him saying is, if Lawrence isn't good, we don't know what a good quarterback looks like, which is probably true, but it's a strong statement from a man who's usually very sensible with his statements.
Right.
And that makes me want to buy Lawrence, but it just hasn't gone anywhere. No one's discounting him. Like, there's no that was terrible discount on Lawrence. So I've got him in one league just because I had the 101 last year in a best ball league where I'm getting my ass kicked by like fucking high stakes players regularly. But I'm just holding him because no one's willing to trade for it either. Mayday, 10-team Superflex 0.75 tight end premium. Would you take Jefferson, Chase, or Pitts after Allen, Mahomes, Herbert? Yeah, I got a similar question in my Discord the other day. It was, where do you take the wide receivers between the quarterbacks in a Superflex startup? And I tend to take them a little higher. Like, after those first few, I go in on Chase and Jefferson. I looked it up, but I can't
remember.
Especially
in the 10-team.
In the 10-team, absolutely. Yeah.
But which I would take Pitts over the wide receivers.
I think tight end premium, especially.
But like, if you told me the three of them scored literally the exact same amount of fantasy points, first of all, that would be weird and awesome. But it would work out better for the Pitts owner, because chances are that tight end scored a lot more than any other tight end did. Yeah. And
did you hear Addison's video today, by the way, about selling Kyle Pitts? I thought it was interesting because it's similar things to what I think, but I'm definitely not on the sell Kyle Pitts train. So it was a really interesting video.
I don't listen to a word that guy says. So
that guy sucks. I imagine going on a podcast with him regularly instead of talking to us every Wednesday. It'd be weird, right?
Yeah, seriously. Who would spend their lunchtime on Wednesday talking to that guy?
Oh no, who would put in their watch queue every video they did just to make sure he knows what's going on? Yeah, like, I get Pitts is overvalued, but like, he's the safest overvalue. It just feels like,
it's such a weird situation with tight ends. It's just because everyone has questions except for Kyle Pitts, because he's that young.
My question for Kyle Pitts, though, is, does he give you that positional advantage like Kelsey has? Because if he doesn't, being the tight end one doesn't
It's not like Kelsey. That's like I'm writing up tight end breakouts mainly because I need to write another article because I got zero money from Dynasty last month, and I need money. So I'm like, okay, I got to write some stuff. So I'm writing up tight end breakouts, and they suck. And here's where I think it comes down to: if you want to follow traditional tight end patterns, they're fairly easy. They're repeated at a constant rate. They're fairly safe. Mike Gesicki is drafted outside the first 100 picks, and it's fine. Just take Mike Gesicki, by the way. But because the truth is, if we drop the veil for a second, we don't want good tight ends. We want exactly 3. We want Gronk, we want Graham, and we want Kelsey for those 2 special years. Not all of Kelsey, just those 2 special years where he performed like Gronkowski and Graham compared to the field.
Right.
That's it. We don't want Gore, not Gore. We don't want TJ. We don't want Olsen. That's all fine, but it's not really what we want. And the thing is, if you're hunting that, just give up. The only thing in the last 7 years I've seen that could be predictably that is Kyle Pitts. Yeah. So, all those other tight ends we've drafted over Mike Gesicki were basically wasted draft picks, even though one of them was Mike Andrews, because it's never going to be Gronk, Graham, and it's never going to be those 2 years of Travis Kelce. Pitts actually could be. That's the first time, it could be.
But even like Mark Andrews last year scored
wasn't better than the field, yeah.
He was better. He was not better than the entire field. But if you go down to between him and Kyle Pitts, you're getting 7 extra points a week from Andrews last year. And Pitts finished as the tight end 5.
But again, that's tight end positional advantage. He wasn't flex worthy.
But
that's what we want. We want Graham, Gronk, and we want Kelsey. We want flex worthy. And it's happened 3 times. That's the awkwardness of tight ends. And I'm not throwing shade at Mark Andrews or even Pitts here. I'm saying that's basically unpredictable. That's what sucks about them.
Right. Okay. Can I change my answer to you'll be happy regardless of which of the 3 of them you take? Just don't take Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we had a question. I was yeah, all 3 are great. It's fine.
You like how I brought that back?
Thank you. I like that. I appreciate that.
Professional podcaster, Russ Fisher, Dynasty Outhouse, everybody.
Check him out on the DLF YouTube channel. 2. Zach Linton, FF Uncle Piff. Yes, I like that. Which wide receivers would you give up for a mid to late 23 first? Good question.
Which wide receivers do you have?
Yeah, honestly, we've mentioned this in passing a few times. There's basically 4 players that aren't worth a random first next year right now. And that's one of them's actually Pitts because of what we were just talking about, or the potential. Chase, Jefferson, and then Superflex, you've got 4 quarterbacks. That's it.
So
everyone else is on the table.
1 first or CeeDee Lamb?
I still
CeeDee Lamb for me.
Lamb. Yeah.
Cooper Kupp?
Nope.
AJ Brown?
Nope.
Well, Devontae Adams. I don't know why he's wide receiver 6 right now. That's ridiculous.
I'm telling you, he's an easy sell guy.
So yes, first we're going to skip over that. Debo?
It's fairly even.
I think you should get
pick, right? You should, but you want. Well,
Higgins?
You might.
1 first for Higgins?
Higgins' truthers are fucking liars, by the way. I've got him in 1 league, and unless we've got no one who likes Higgins in that league, no one's willing to trade. No, you're not in it. No one's willing to trade him at 2 pick value, 223 first value. No one. They're nope, reject. No counter offers.
DK or for 1 first?
No. Are you asking what I would do or what he is worth in the market?
Well, the answer, the question is what he's worth because we can't. We don't know the specifics of Zach's league.
I think you start getting down to DJ Moore.
That's where I was getting to. I was 2 picks away from that. Tyreek Hill, I think, is where my line is.
Yep.
I would take 1 first for Tyreek Hill at this point, and then because you have Diggs, what I just said. Then there's Jalen Waddle, which the answer is no. Right. You should be swapping Waddle with Devontae Adams at least. Mm-hmm. And then you get to Hill, DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, Drake London. We're at a point where, yes, any of those guys for a first.
Peter doesn't agree.
I think I'm starting to slowly understand some things John Bosch says about value.
Oh no,
I don't know. I have it clear.
I think you need to
basically there's value and
there's
some value and then there's no value. And that's what I'm trying to play out with the first there. I mean, it's okay to say they're worth a first, but they're not if they're not. It's just zero. It's a 0 or it's a 1. John Bosch is a binary robot. I just figured it out.
But it's not like but to me there, and I don't want to derail this, but like to me there are like the 3 phases of value. So you have like actual value, like what you can trade a player for. You have like theoretical value, which is what people think players are worth, like rookies are worth, because we're betting on. And then you have points, which is also value, but it's different. They're not necessarily connected. Correlation and causation. They're not necessarily connected, although they are interlaced. They're not necessarily affecting one another, but you can. It's almost like trading current. So, like if I'm going to Canada and I get all my money changed over to loonies, so I can go. You have the different value. So, like that.
I thought I was understanding something for a second, but it's gone now. It sounds right, and you're right about the phases of value, especially in Dynasty, times of the year, if nothing else. It's like phases of the moon. Dynasty players believe strongly in astronomy.
But like, sorry. Do you agree that what Cooper Kupp what Cooper Kupp will score you this year, what Davante Adams will score you this year, is worth more than what you can get in picks for them? So like there's this weird like
I also think it's easy to say Cooper Kupp should be worth more than a first, and you'll never get it. That's what I'm saying because
it's a different type of value. Like it's different.
So saying that value is not. Yeah.
Speaking of needing to write articles because he needed money, I wrote.
Well, it's not really the money. It's just I should really show my face every now and again.
Yeah. But I wrote an article about Javonte Williams and Austin Eckler, and the beginning of the article talks about dynasty value being like a puzzle, like with puzzle pieces, except everyone's pieces are different sizes and different shapes.
That's the thing, it's not linear.
The problem is like that was the intro to the article, which accidentally became like 2 pages, and I'm like, okay, I kind of
this is a separate article.
I probably should have
divided into 2 articles right there.
Sadly, I wish I kept it now, but yeah, like that. It really like that's what it is, and it's part of the fun and part of the frustration is the fact that you can understand your puzzle, all of its curves, where every piece fits into it. No one's puzzle looks the same,
right?
And that's what makes it
back to the
hard
figure out
and
everyone
fun
else's puzzle
with trading and everything. Like that's why I like it so much. Because it's like a puzzle upside down, but you really like have 3 different puzzles worth of pieces.
Well, that goes back to Zach Reed's psychology fascination. Just figure out everyone else's puzzle.
Absolutely.
And now we're really in the weeds. So I'm just going to say, Scott asks, what do you think about Barkley Ceiling this year? Running back 1.
That's why he's ceiling every year. His running back, like if he's healthy, he has potential to be that guy. He's one of maybe 3 running backs that can do that.
If he is healthy and CMC is not healthy,
that's fair.
But I mean, legitimately both could be the running back 1 together. I mean, there's some of those running backs who have the ceiling.
Those guys have Travis Kelce potential.
Yeah, there you go. Paul Cicero, Russ, who are your favorite big Clemson wide receivers this season?
T.
I am ready for what's going to happen in 7 weeks into the season when Hopkins comes back, because that offense is going to be great. I want Justin Smith to fucking wreck the league because shitty medicals. I mean, okay, assuming he doesn't kill himself playing football, I want him to do really well because, first of all, humans should do well at what they want to do. But, like, to be passed on and then to be able to just be that great, like, that would be great.
Hunter Renfrow.
I was waiting.
Bag of grapes.
I think I'm giving up on the idea of Mike Williams really being a thing.
Oh.
Sammy Watkins, week 1, baby.
Honestly, Sammy Watkins over Romeo Dubs, I'd take it. Or
Sammy Watkins has the chance at having a decent year. Like, don't get me wrong, he probably won't be a wide receiver 2 or anything, but he might be usable for the first time in like.
I'd rather bet on the repeats than the breakouts. So yeah, he tops the list. Which never gets said because he's Sammy Watkins and only does run 9 routes. Oh well. But good question. Peter welcome back, dude. What's up, guys? Whose draft spots do you like in a 14-team Superflex?
I've lost an opinion on draft spots. Mostly A, because I never stay in it, and B, it's whatever. Like, it's always nice to have a plan. Like, go listen to the Dummies show from I don't remember when it was, even like a couple of days ago.
Last week.
You go in, it's really funny. Like, Leo talking about like going in and just reacting means you don't have a plan, which means you were never even trying anything. I'm like, oh, so that's what I've been doing wrong. Okay. But like, yeah, like I honestly, it's true though. Like, I don't usually go in with a plan, or like I don't have an overarching plan. It's like, I want to try and do this because it's something I haven't tried before, or like I don't take it seriously enough to have like an aim for something. Like I do this for fun. But if anything, I like the end. I like the edges. Like, give me the last pick so I can just get 2 guys that I like and then take a nap, before it's my turn again.
Yeah.
And also, like, that helps you throw ADP out the window. Like, when you're in the middle, you're like, okay, this is probably who's going to be around in like this amount of picks. So I feel like I need to, when it's just your 2 picks and then 28 picks until it's yours again, you just take the 2 guys you want. Like, to me, that's like freeing.
Yeah, I just did a video on startups for this year, but it was about what me and Zach were talking about before last stream, and I want the 1-on-1 this year, but it's because I want to trade up and down. I want to go studs and duds this year in startups, and that's why I don't particularly. I mean, the win rate for the 1-on-1 spot historically is better. It is an advantage, especially if you don't have third round reversal where the advantage literally flips. But honestly, I don't care where my startup pick is because I intend to move around if I can, and if not, make better choices than everyone. I'll beat you from anywhere. Said no. But this year, that's what my mind's on. It's not so much where my draft spot is; it's how I want to move where I'm at in the draft. And I want to do that more heavily than I do typically as well.
So, and I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna get a little bit granular with this. I'm gonna zoom in and kind of go off, Peter, what you said, where the real spot that I want to be in the first round is around 8. Because I think there are 5 quarterbacks that I want and 3 other players, the Pitts, Jefferson, Chase. So if I can start from 1, trade back to 8, get back up into like a second, third round pick, or if the first round, like next year's firsts, if you already have those. So it depends on if the first round picks are in the draft or not. So if you own your firsts for next year, then I want to get that first to move back. If you don't, if the firsts are in the draft, I want to move back from 1 to like 8, get a pick in the third round where I can move up and have somebody else move back, so I can stack up like early third round picks, because I think that's where you start your run on 23 firsts. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is get in that area where I can have, and I'm going to try to trade again. I'll trade, trade back from my 4th, trade back from my 5th, whatever, to move up into that range and start just peppering 23 first, because I think that's the way to hit it this year. I really do.
Listen to Zach.
If you can't trade, I want 8 though.
Also, go listen to the episode with Leo on it because it's pretty awesome.
Oh,
I really loved him alliterating his journey about realizing about young wide receivers and how it doesn't always work. It was really good. 223 first for Chase.
I would love to get Chase 223 first.
Yeah, I think you're probably down by a first on that.
A first. But they are 23 first.
I know, but it's still, I mean, like you're
hoping to get Chase.
In theory, yeah. I mean, like that's the thing. You're trading Chase for 2 shots to get 1 Chase.
Or it could be 2 Najee Harris's. Or
I mean, I guess
2 Kyler Murray's. It's a mystery. Strongly Chase. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have Dan Marino watching. So, smarten yourselves up. 12-team Superflex, 10-point start 10 PPR. Devontae Jameson.
10 PPR, damn guys.
I know, right? 23 first or ETN.
How time Jarvis gets his due. Sorry.
ETN and Higgins, I think. I really do like Devontae, though.
Devonta, Jameson, and a 23. ETN and Higgins. I take ETN and Higgins.
And then I trade Higgins for Devontae plus a first.
Oh, I need confirmation. Was that ETN video real and recent?
Today?
Yes.
Or yesterday?
Yes. I saw it.
It's the second.
Today.
It's the second
time.
ETN video that they put out.
Mm-hmm.
So yes.
Yeah. Good. It's about time we got those videos. Now give me a JK one. Give it to me.
Yeah. Right.
I need it.
Probably a Canada's on it at this point.
Again.
Man. Seriously, turning into
but
my favorite.
We're now at the start of the show. That's why
we are finally at 9:30. Yeah, 12-team Superflex keeper missed the championship by half a point. That sucks, man.
Rush.
Sorry. Jefferson in the 3rd, ETN in the 7th, Cousin in the 8th, Mike Williams, I'm sorry, in the 9th, Fields in the 10th, Elijah Mitchell in the 11th. Wow.
Don't overthink it. Jefferson.
It's still Jefferson in the 3rd.
Oh, it's a keeper league, right?
Don't overthink it. Jefferson in the 3rd.
Jefferson in the 3rd. Yeah, there was no need to read the others. That's fine. Although ETN in the 7th is tempting, but
overthinking it. Jefferson's not going to miss, and you're getting him in the 3rd.
Yeah. Don't accuse me of the thing I always do. Sean, 16-team Superflex PPR, 1.5 tight end premium. No comment. Start 9. League's first year, I traded Elijah Moore and my 23 first to get Higgins. There you go. There's a man who knows how to like who he likes. And a 23 third. Think I'm top 4. Did I overpay too much? Yeah. Love you guys. Wow, thanks, Sean. Love you too, man.
Pretty good.
No, that's good.
Like, that's not a bad trade.
That's perfect value. Yeah,
I can like Elijah Moore and recognize his upside on the other side. That's fine. No, that's a good trade.
I like Elijah Moore. I still want Higgins.
Yeah.
I do that. Dan Marino likes it so much he came back for another one.
I know, right? He didn't even see response to the first one before he was back. So, my core is Mahomes, Burrow, Connor, CH, Patterson, Knox. Not so bad. Mike Evans, Devontae, Jameson. A little weak. Juju, though, you're good. You're fine.
You're good.
Am I above average?
12-team Superflex.
I project that you would be, but right now you are not.
You're average.
Yeah.
You got good.
Don't get me wrong. Celebrate that you have Mahomes and Burrow as your quarterbacks in the Superflex.
Yeah, you're good. Don't panic. And I think if Juju breaks your way, like I hope, and Devontae hits the top 24, like he should, you're slightly
Evans,
above
Devonta,
average.
Jameson, and Juju, like that's a nice core, but like it's not. I don't know if it's steady enough to pull it off.
This is a solid team. The only I've got a few teams like this, and the reason I don't like them is because that's what I have. I've traded my picks to get in this position, which probably means I'm trying to catch up ground. My Juju has to hit, or I've lost. But as long as you haven't made my mistakes,
what can I get for Mahomes?
But this team's fine.
to me, this is the team where you're looking to add like Leonard Fournette. You're looking to add Landry. You're looking to add, So
that's a good point. If you want to make a tear-up move for running back, do you wait till the end of the preseason, or is there a different sweet spot? It's league by league, but I think typically running backs.
If you want to buy running backs
before the draft. before and after the draft seems like present running back values. Like they're going to increase the closer we get to the season. I know that. Like,
if there's someone you like and someone, if you're willing to risk time, you just do it now. Do it as soon as you can.
Yeah. Or or wait until like 3 weeks into the season or 4 weeks into the season when someone's team is terrible and you just go, yeah, I'll take your running back.
Yeah. You don't need that's a very good point. You don't need to do it right away. Like you can wait a week or two, have a decent start to your season, and then just go. Leonard Fournette's probably on a crap team at that point. So just be like,
and that's one of my favorite. Oh, sorry, Peter. Go ahead.
No, I had nothing interesting to say. I was just going to fill the space like usual. Carry on.
No, I was going to say that's one of my favorite. So last year I did the Edge Finder series, and Peter, you were part of that. But J Mike and Russ, you were part of that too. But I had J Mike on specifically to talk about the way he operates early in the season, because he's so good at identifying what direction his team needs to go. And he said after like 3 or 4 weeks, you make your decision. And then Gavin,
you just go with it.
Yeah, I think that's my advice is if you haven't done it now, or if you aren't at a point yet where you are making that move, you're not in a hurry.
Yeah, there's an advantage to being the first person to make up your mind.
Yeah.
I think the underlining dynasty current of intellectual thought, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but a tendency is to think people move too quick and don't give players enough time to develop. It's these young whippersnappers. In my day, we used to have patience. That's honestly the tone of dynasty. Whereas in fact, the first person to make up their mind has the edge in whatever you're looking at. Breakout, whether a player is going to be good or bad, whether your team's good or bad. Do it as early as possible.
I know I'm breaking like a cardinal rule of this show, but Adam just commented he traded the 2-4 and 2-10 for Sutton.
Nice. Adam. That is a win, my friend.
The other cardinal thing on the show, the timing, you can find sweet spots, but it's not about the timing, it's about the trade. So try and send out offers in the sweet spot, but don't do it because it's the right time. And I think that's what Zach was saying.
Yep.
You can wait. And what Outhouse was saying with you don't have to. Like, try. But if you don't find a great value, just wait. None your business. None your business. I like it. 10 seasons flex. Start 10. Burrow, Claypool, sell him. Late 23 first. 23 second on London, ETN, Marcus Brown, 24 first and a 24 second.
Feels like
I think it's the quarterback.
It's just a quarterback, and it's not because I'd like any of the rest of that side compared to the other side.
But Burrow would have first over that other side to me.
Yeah. Yep.
Is Burrow one of those quarterbacks though?
No, but he's the next tier down.
He's
from those quarterbacks.
It's real close.
Yeah, I'm talking to Izzy too much. Izzy is like apparently the head of the Burrow fan club. So it's funny, like I was trying to dissuade him from his conversation. Like, do you really think Burrow is a difference-making fantasy quarterback? And then, like, he firmly believed his answer of yes. And it's just like Izzy doesn't have imagination or a sense of humor. So like he
must be true.
It's a little known fact that his last name is actually hyphenated. It's Izzy Burrow Alcafes. So like that's like not many people know that.
He'll be good enough and his value will stay high enough that it doesn't necessarily matter if he is that difference making or not, because if you choose to trade him at another time, you could do better than a lot of this maybe stuff.
I'll also point this out, like London, I don't think he's a Chase Jefferson Cup like fantasy swinger. I don't think ETN is CMC or Saquon Barkley. I don't think Marcus Brown, same list. Like these aren't huge difference making players. So there's not even I mean, they're good players and I like them, but they're not enough to trade away a quarterback without getting one in return. I mean, you put JT instead of ETN on the other side, and suddenly it's more of a conversation.
That's a conversation,
yeah. Richard Davis, 2:23 seconds or Goddard. Depends on your team, but yeah, I strongly swing for Goddard right now. I think it's a little.
Goddard's young enough that I don't think age has anything to do with it. I think the answer should be Goddard, especially if there's any sort of premium whatsoever, or if it's 12 teams or more. I think you're still sticking with Goddard at that point. Because, I mean, I get that the real tight end advantage is the Kelce's, like you were saying before, but there's at least a comfort feeling in knowing you have a guy you could start every week.
Yeah, especially if you want to start it, I think I would say swing one of those first at Trey McBride if you're thinking more long term.
Yes, Peter.
Just because it's half the value, and I really like Trey McBride's value.
I like McBride too. Yep. And people are gonna forget that you have to wait for rookies to do well, especially tight ends. So it doesn't matter.
So you don't have to care. This is literally the first year I've ever seen the best rookie tight end go at what he should go at. And I'm really excited about it. It's like, yes, that's it. That's where it's a good value. Let's do it. Okay. No one else cares. Everyone's like, yeah.
Pick this person out.
Arizona. Who wants Arizona players apart from all the other players, apparently?
We skip this question. We can't do it. No order 66 here. That's the order to kill all the Jedi.
Gotcha.
We don't really have to skip it, though.
You nerd. What would you pay to get Thielen? A second-round pick, and I think people will be glad to get rid of Thielen for a second-round pick right now.
And I would definitely have to give up a second.
As long as David Bell's off the board, and maybe Trey McBride, any second-round pick. Paul Cicero.
I can't believe you really skipped Order 66's question.
You told me to. Okay, we're going back. 12-team Superflex tight end premium, Swift and Diggs or Lamb and a first and a second?
I think it's Swift and Diggs.
I can't believe I'm picking a Swift side, but I think that's the answer too.
Because I think you can actually get more than that for them. But
Diggs for first and a second, Swift. Yeah, I'm with that. Yeah. I mean, not much, but yeah.
Yeah.
I feel better getting something different than that.
But I don't mind. Like, I don't mind that trade. Yeah. I don't mind getting the Lamb and a first and a.
It's a close value, and if you want to rebuild, like get away from a running back and an older wide receiver, I think that's good enough to make me want to do it. But if I don't have a direction in mind, I think I stick with Swift. And
Peter's on his CD Lamb, like he's just holding that, and I get it because I think you're right, but
I think it's fair to say the values on the Swift and Diggs side, but when it comes to making the bets I want to make, I don't care about losing a trade. You can go tell all your friends and make fun of me on Twitter. I will lose a trade to go in on what I think is going to happen. And if I'm right, you'll have to bow or something. I don't know. So you definitely lose this trade, but I feel like I would do it in the right situation.
I agree.
So that probably wasn't any help, Order 66, but yeah,
that's what you get.
Well, I mean, you do if you're contending, you probably want the points. You want Diggs and Swift. If you're rebuilding, you obviously want Lamb, the younger wide receiver, and the first. Like that's pretty simple. That's helpful, Peter.
I feel like I'm never helpful.
Context matters.
It does, but it's so boring. Paul, do you prefer 4 points per passing touchdown or 6? I don't really have a strong preference, but I have noticed me leaning towards 4. It feels like 6 unbalances the quarterback position in a way that's I don't care. I'd rather just start 2, and that balances it better in a better way. So
I like
probably 4.
I like quarterback premium scoring, which regardless of 4 or 6. No. So I don't know if you've seen Kyle's QB premium, which he kind of borrowed from Scott Fish and there were a couple of different people who had done Addison, QB premium, but but it was before Addison got into it. But yeah, good, Addison's done some great,
Because that guy shouldn't get credit for anything.
But he's done some great work with it. But I'm in several leagues that the passing touchdowns, whatever. I don't think that makes too much of a difference. But what you can do is use completion percentage, use interceptions, as negatives to balance to actually make the good quarterbacks valuable and the bad quarterbacks not valuable. So you're not artificially inflating with Superflex. And that's what I prefer, Paul, is to have that striation within the quarterbacks not be the touchdowns, which are pretty random, but be the
See, I was thinking not within the position, but against other positions, which is why I like 4 better.
Yeah.
Especially with my scoring, because I give more points for yards than other leagues do. Like I do per 20 yards as opposed to 25, which I think a lot of leagues do.
Yeah.
I think 6 is just, first of all, you use 6 nowadays. You use 6 points if you want to take away from quarterbacks that score touchdowns by rushing.
Right.
Like but to me, I don't want the top scorers, the first top 10 scorers, to all be quarterbacks, and that's usually what happens with 6 points.
Yeah, scoring preferences are always going to be preferences. I mean, there's no better or worse. I honestly believe that.
Very, very true.
And the reason I say 4, honestly, even though I probably could justify it one way or another if you give me enough time, I know what's going on. Default is 4, so I've looked at scoring with 4 points per passing touchdown for so long and so often. I know what's going on. I don't have to relook up the rules and figure out, oh, shit, in this particular league, this quarterback is actually much more valuable than this one I'm used to being. That's why I like vanilla scoring. It's just because I like to just get involved in the fun instead of having to realize, oh, I didn't look at the settings close enough and reevaluate everything I know.
Just watch the tape, Peter. Just watch the tape.
I'm not now. Schultz, 328. Team 12 team Superflex PPR start 13. Ooh. Daniel Jones. Plus what for Sky Moore? Daniel Jones should get Sky Moore straight up.
I don't think there's a plus on that one.
No.
You think I mean, from what I've seen, Sky Moore was like 108, 109-ish. You think you're getting a first for Daniel Jones these days?
I mean, he's a starting quarterback in a 12-team Superflex.
Still don't think you're doing it. I mean, I think you got to add at least a second to that.
Yeah, and I'll keep... Oh, fuck. I was going to say I keep Daniel Jones there, but I take it back. A second isn't going to stop me doing that trade, so add a second if you got to.
I do think you need to add, especially because it's in everyone's head that Daniel Jones is a 1-year thing anyway.
Russ would know.
For context, Sky Moore owner is a Watson owner, has no viable third quarter. Yeah, so the third quarterback, I'd shrug at the third quarterback. I usually don't have a viable second quarterback, and sometimes I don't even have a viable first quarterback in Super.
JD McKissick, QB1.
You know, you're in the Dynasty Dump, the DFPN league, where I finished second, and my quarterbacks were Cam Newton and Ben Roethlisberger. Like, you're in that league,
2012 All-Star, baby.
None your business. 10-team Superflex start 10, same league as before. Burrow, Myers, late 23 first. Is this the same trade? Yeah.
No, so there's different surrounding pieces. Myers wasn't in the first
Myers, one. Yeah.
But it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same.
Still Burrow.
Eric, S12.
Start 12, 18.
Start 12, that makes sense. 18 PPR
2 quarterback. Wow.
Not Superflex 2. Rebuilding and have Lamar, Lance, Cousins, Wentz. That's strong.
Great.
Najee, JK.
Great.
Rebuilding, you say. Keenan Allen.
Sure you're not competing?
Amon-Ra. I like that a lot. I like Hollywood a lot. Kirk. Sure. Pitt's got it. You've built. You're not rebuilding.
Yeah. Lamar.
Got it.
Pitt second quarterback. Najee, JK. Keenan, Amon-Ra, Hollywood.
He's got David Bell. He's good.
Goddard, Kirk. I'm fine starting Bell, and you could just you have a good team.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's only 8 teams, but 12 is a lot of starters. Like that.
I would say this is a great team in 12.
You probably have one of the better teams in the league already, and if Watson hits, honestly, I'm buying into Alec Pierce a little bit.
I mean,
I don't have a real stance behind it. The wide receiver in Indianapolis. I don't have a strong standing behind it, but just I like when, first of all, unless Paris Campbell comes back and stays healthy, in which case Paris Campbell to the moon.
Health is not the problem.
It's always been a problem. And whenever he's on the field, he gets 12 targets a game, and then he gets hurt 6 minutes later.
No.
But I like when a team goes out and gets a guy that there isn't another one of him on that team. Like Alec Pierce is like, oh crap, T.Y. Hilton just retired. And he's not Pittman.
I like Alec Pierce, but the last time I mentioned it, Zach seemed to think it was just me taking my Pittman hate too far. He's actually got some interesting metric. I think as a 3rd round pick, he's a really strong pick. On that team, it's a really well run team. I think that's underrated. So
as he just drops all over Tyquan Thornton in the 3rd, but he's like, oh yeah, Alec Pierce, but great, well run team in Indy.
Yeah, let's do that.
You may burn the
let's go. Alec Pierce versus Tyquan Thornton. Year 1. Let's do points per game on that one. 12-team Superflex, 0.5 PPR. Dotson or David Montgomery? Montgomery, right? Just no contest, kind of a.
Yeah, it's Montgomery.
Yes.
Yeah,
Montgomery.
I mean, I don't feel great about it, but yeah,
I do.
Fan it. A hobby that you play for fun is not there to make you feel good, Russ.
Fair.
I might have to reevaluate some things, but I'll come back to that.
We tell you that every day.
Traded the 107 and the 201 for Diggs and Chark. Why?
I love it.
Why add Chark? For a contender, 12-team Superflex, and ended up being Wilson, Dotson. Thoughts? I
think 107 and 201 is a great price for Diggs.
I'd rather just have Diggs, yeah. Keep Williams, don't overpay chasing production.
We're far behind. I don't know.
We are very far behind. Sorry, guys. Williams was meeting the bone.
I'm assuming we're talking about Mike Williams at this point. So.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. His ADP is way too high for me, actually. I mean, that's redraft. No, even in Dynasty, he's ranked pretty high. Gavin Grant, 6-team Superflex. Lamar.
Wide receiver 33 is too high for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wide receiver 33 is well within the range of players that Dynasty players think they're all top 24. There's like 46 top 24 values. Something like
Mike Williams is one of those.
Yes.
Yes.
Right now he is, and I don't like it. I don't think he's top 24. Chris Evans, 2:23 seconds, or Max Saquon Godwin. Okay, it's Lamar. I get it. Lamar or Saquon and Mac and Godwin, basically. 16-team Superflex.
60. Max, Saquon, and Godwin in Hiddy.
Yeah, I think it is too.
Only because it's a 16-teamer.
Which sucks because you're giving up the positional advantage with Lamar, but
that's a good chunk of a lineup of very good players.
Yep.
It's too deep to give up to add Saquon and maybe even half a year of Godwin too. Yeah. NYC 86718. Don't know why I read that. You're paying for at least last year's ceiling on Cup. That's the thing. I don't think he's not valued at 3 firsts.
Yeah,
which is what he would be valued at if he was under 27. Right. Basically, I mean, Devontae Adams. I think we went over his value, and he's not held to the value that he should be, which is why I'd say that's probably not so much of a risk right now. Keep trade cut. Wentz, Hardman, Ronald Jones. Cut.
No, I'd probably keep Wentz.
If it's super flex, you're not cutting a quarterback. So I'm assuming it's one quarterback. If it's one quarterback,
they all deserve roster space in most leagues.
I don't think Hardman deserves a roster space anymore. I'd keep Ronald Jones just in case, but if I had to pick one, it's Hardman.
It's weird. This might be the first year I think he is worth roster space. But yeah, fine. I don't. If you cut him, I'm not. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, who do you like better, Hardman or Valdez-Scantling?
Hardman.
Okay, then there you go. Then I guess you do keep Hardman then, because they're the deep guys, right?
Yeah. I hope MVS can do what
Kelsey's everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think MVS can. Well, the hope is he can do what Hardman's been doing there the last 2 years, which is 600 yards, be occasionally relevant as a flex play. JMO will be generational. I think we're talking about the rookie JMO there, right?
Yes.
I played basketball in high school against the guy.
It's been around for a few generations.
I heard some weird guy called Jake Anderson likes him a lot, so probably not. That guy didn't. That guy plays golf.
Good for him.
Yeah, he plays golf now. Because he fouled out fantasy football for having such bad takes. I think that's what happened. I don't know. Don't quote me. Or quote me directly at him.
Guy every week, so he just left.
Yeah, that's what it was. Mark my words. Not bad words. I think that's why he's ranked where he is. Gavin Grant, 12-team, 1 QB, CMC or Damian Harris, A-Rob, and the 23 first. CMC for me.
Wow, you made me pick CMC in the trade.
Yeah. CMC. Let's go.
Yeah.
Eric, who have a bet 2022 out of David Bell. And none will have great 2022 years being rookies, but yeah, Bell's our easy favorite on this list, I think, right?
Not only a better 2022, but a better 2023 and a better 2024. Yeah.
We just think he's better.
I do.
Gavin. I'm pretty sure that's a spelling of Gavin. Sorry, Gavin. If not, does anyone else think Pitts is in for a brief decline with a downgrade? If you think that, then you should really sell him because it's not going to get better over the next 2 years.
Right.
Unless they trade for
I don't think he's in for a decline. By the way. And
I don't think so. I think he literally just has to catch more than one touchdown. That's a weird thing. Like he had one touchdown on 1,000 yards. He could drop 300 yards and get an average touchdown rate and be Kelsey in those 2 years. But
we have seen Mariota do well enough when he was covering for Carr, and
well enough, exactly.
And it helps Pitts to have another person that the defense needs to cover.
Yeah.
So, I'm fine with London being there. Plus, we don't know if London's good. We know Pitts is good enough to have 1,000-yard season his rookie year.
Yeah.
So I'm not concerned in the least. I don't think there's going to be a downgrade or decline at all.
Quarterbacks affect touchdown rate, but I'm pretty sure one touchdown per 1,000 yards has just something a little to do with luck and bad versions of it. Bazaltzberg, rolling with Pollard in my RB2 spot. 12-team Superflex, start 9, flex planning, or to roll out my wide receiver ×2. Should I try to trade for running back? Just in general, Fournette's a great target. Derrick Henry's way undervalued in Dynasty right now.
Do not use one of the 23 firsts.
Yeah. But don't use your first, ideally, yeah.
Yeah, find a way to, Pollard in a second and go get, a version of Fournette, Or
Aaron Jones.
Fun. Go trade a third for Mark Ingram and use him for the first 6 weeks and then see what happens after that. You don't need to plan the season now.
James Conner, I guess, on the outside.
They're cheap running backs that will score you points rather than trade your 23 firsts.
Yes, but you're definitely not good with that running. But again, you don't have to plan who your running back 2 is right now, but generally try to be looking for good values.
I think Pollard's going to get some run, but I don't know if I'll feel safe ever starting him.
He's not bad, no. Howard's Heroes.
No. Howdy's Heroes.
Yeah, I'm trying to. No, I think that's a positive thing. Thank you. 10-team Dynasty, 1 QB, standard scoring. How do you feel about this trade? Mark Andrews for Dawson Knox and the 207. And a late first. Oh, wow. A late 23 first seems like a
first should take Knox,
fine. Yeah.
Honestly, this is giving up a late first for Andrews.
This is actually Peter jumping in the chat trying to get me to say we should trade Mark Andrews. This is what this is. It's full circle.
I don't know. Someone just told me that Pat Freiermuth was worth a first, and I trusted him. So I guess Mark Andrews is worth a first too. And you get a little plus.
Worth a couple of them. You're the one that said Muth was worth a first, and that's why I sent it.
No, you said this is a trade you should accept, so I accepted it. Oh, you're backing out on that so fast. I'm so screwed.
Muth is worth.
Oh my god!
You said it. That's why I sent it because I knew you'd be happy with it.
You screwed me. I get it. Yeah.
Do you want to trade it back? I feel bad. I wanted to make you happy.
It's fine. It's fine. Eric, don't give me fake tears. It makes me feel bad.
I was going to poke myself in the eyes to get real tears, but I didn't have to follow through.
Lance or Chubb in a 24 first. 8-team super. 18. Wow.
Quarterback. I mean, I still think Lance, but
in an 8-team, I'm gonna go with the first and Chubb.
I don't even know. Like, I guess I can't really conceptualize.
I guess I go Lance. Honestly, shoot for the.
Well, if every team has 3 quarterbacks, there are still quarterbacks available. There's still 8 quarterbacks left.
Yeah, that's fair.
But isn't the whole thing that Lance has that special upside?
He does, but so does
that advantage.
Yeah, I mean, like, but you're betting on, or that's a maybe, and Chubb is going to be a top 12.
J Mike just jumped into the chat to lie at us, lie right at our faces. It's a little offensive. It's a little offensive, J Mike.
You shut your mouth. He would never do anything offensive. J Mike is he's an angel. He's a treasure.
He's my pick. He's my pick for the nicest man on earth.
Yeah, mine too.
I feel that.
So,
yep.
That's why I don't like him very much. That's not true. Anyway, Beastman 10. He hates Julio Jones. I mean, I just have this slight issue. I have 6 first next year, and I have a young contending team. Finished 3rd last year. Who would you rather go after with a few of the picks?
Man, hold those until the draft. Just hold them. If your team finished 3rd and it's young, ride it out and actually build a dynasty.
Yeah. Adam's back. Thanks for the advice. Great show as usual. Thank you. Appreciate that, Adam. I point out he said that long before we could ever have got to his second question. So he's a very nice man to predict that we did a good job. Shirt rocks, Peter. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
These guys.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob Gilchrist.
I love that Peter has
with the Boston live draft. Thanks, Bob.
Bob Gilchrist, has anyone told you that shirt is awesome? No, they haven't.
No. Read that again.
Anyone told you that your shit is awesome? Where can I get it? OnlyFans.
Good night, everybody.
What's that over there? FF Lefty. Zach, aside from speed, what's Tyquan Thornton's best trait? I think he went over pretty well what he does well, and that it's not just speed, he's overall athletic, and he works well on those smaller crossing routes. I didn't understand those words, but I do know them enough to repeat them.
What is hand snags?
Like catch.
Isn't that good?
Yeah, he's got he's not bad. Like where'd Peter go?
He's upset with this Tyquan Thornton talk.
Oh, well, whatever. I like his ability to again make plays on especially slant routes, especially those quick in-breaking routes. It's a little bit to me, and this is not a comp because Odell Beckham was unbelievable. But on this particular route, on that slant, you would see, and especially FF Lefty, if you have watched the Patriots at all, when Odell Beckham was playing with Eli, so often you would see him run that slant, catch the ball in front of the corner, and then run across the field and house one. And that is exactly what Tyquan Thornton can do. It's also something that the Patriots have leveraged without that athleticism for the last 20 years. Just player after player after player. So, again, it's not that I think Tyquan Thornton is a lock to be a great player, but in the 3rd round, the things that he does well paired with the things that Mac Jones does well, I am more than happy spending that late 3rd, to go get him.
I think comparing or directly comparing, and in fact, creating the comp of Odell Beckham to Tyquan Thornton is,
absolutely
and borderline irresponsible. And you said they were basically the exact same player, so that's what I heard.
I'm gonna go into your Patreon, find your comps list, just drop that. It'll be fine.
Fair enough. J.K. Dobbins or a 23
I want the first hard.
Yeah. You love Dobbins. Is it different for you?
If I knew he was healthy right now, I would struggle. But I know we're not supposed to worry about a couple of games for Dynasty. But when it comes down to a running back and what 23 firsts are worth, I take the first now and worry about getting Dobbins again later if I wanted him. So right now, I say the first. If he was healthy, I'd struggle.
Jets apparently have a tough schedule for 22, according to Ricky B. I don't factor in much, but Jets are also
anyway.
Jets have a rough road because of the Jets, no matter who they face.
But also, they're in a decent division now. It's not just the Patriots.
In fact, it's now the Bills, and then like the Patriots and Dolphins are kind of vying for being second fiddle.
Nicholas J, at what point in Superflex do you start to take Calvin Ridley?
Like the 5th, 6th pick overall?
Yeah, we're talking like round 15. You're just taking flyers, kind of a pick.
Let me just. I'm getting a little cold. Let me just.
Russ is built different. It's fair to say. Booth, yeah. NYC is back. Daniel Bellinger taking first team reps. Does that change your perception of going into this year? Didn't have much of a perception in general, and that kind of who's taking first, second team reps doesn't do anything for me. No, I haven't found a lot of use. He was
one of those like post rookie draft, like dynasty rookie draft hype guys, where it's like, oh, he starts to get some hype just in time to grab him in the last round or for your first waiver run. But
it's not bad news. It's also not particularly well correlated good news.
Yeah, exactly. Like this isn't something you should go spend actual like equity to go get.
But if you like the player, you still like the player. But Connor, what 23 pick do you think I can get for the 12th or 13th rounder in a startup? None. Maybe a second. Maybe
second or third at best. Yeah, like I think first start going around 6 to 8ish.
I think earlier, but yeah.
But like round 4 is probably where the first few first round picks start going, at least. I think. I'd have to check that. By the time you get to the 12th.
When people start thinking about Breece Hall, that is when I have.
That is a very fair point.
Already thought about 23 firsts.
Like, if we were to do a draft right now with 23 picks in it, like I normally do with current year, I think you're right. But when it comes to actually trading into a draft, I think it's later than we think.
Maybe. You would know.
Joe!
I'll say. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Zach, Peter, and Russ. That's us. Okay, let's say you're a college running back. Never happened. And you have deep health concerns about the NFL. Would you sign a contract that limits your usage or playing time? I have no idea.
See, the problem is athletes are built so different than normal human beings, where every
and they kind of have to
the best. Like, if I still had my brain, 1,000% I signed an NFL contract that, like, I want to go be a backup quarterback. You know, like this. That's like you still get good money and you barely have to do anything. I look great holding a clipboard, so yes, if I am in the, because like this is what do you do if you don't? Like, how do you earn your money? This is what their plan was for their lives. Yes, they're young. They have their lives ahead of them. But this is also their dream. This is everything they've done. So yeah, like honestly, I do. I probably would.
Yeah, athletes have to, I've been told by interviews and shit, think differently in order to do what they do. I don't know why, but the story comes up to me. I knew a guy, I wanted to be in the armed forces when all the way up until, I met my wife and figured out I had to leave country to be with my son. But I knew a guy when I was about 17 years old, and he was 13 years old the first time I met him. The reason I'm telling it is because he's basically custom built to be a Royal Marine. Like, I've never met someone so perfectly built to be really good temperament. So he wasn't overly violent, but perfectly strong, well built, very disciplined. I mean, he was an amazing person, I think. Even at the age of 13, you could tell. And he was basically just waiting till he hit 18 so he could sign up. case in point, in 17, I was like a 1500 meter champion, and he was training with me just because I was the only other guy he knew around that age who would go running regularly, and he would not only keep up, like he made it a challenge, and that wasn't his thing. Being a soldier was his thing, and I was a pretty good runner at the time. But anyway, he ended up not completing his initial training and coming home, and I don't think I've ever been more shocked by someone not following through on a career decision in my life. And he didn't want to talk about it too much. I guess it was a difficult thing to realize that your entire life plan was different. But one of the few things he said was, Pete, they're just crazy. And this is a guy who didn't get shot, could deal with crazy, could deal with running into gunfire. Like that level of crazy was fine to him. But he was like, I won't go into the story too deep, but it was just the way their mental frame had to be what they had to be meant they were just the best description you could come up with was crazy. And I kind of think of that a lot when we're talking about what college athletes should be. To do what they do, especially in football, they kind of have to be a sort of version where if you were a regular person, you would be crazy. So like, I don't think you'll find a good college running back who would ever think this way, because you can't think this way and be it. If you know what I mean? Like, even if you're custom built for it, and like my friend was a Marine, everything perfect. If you're not a little crazy, you are not it. If you're not, does that Carl? Do you understand? I think maybe I went off into the weeds too far, but that's what I always think when this kind of thing comes up. Like, you can't apply the same kind of logic, not because they're crazy, but you kind of have to be built a certain way. Even if everything else is perfect, your athleticism, your ability, your mentality, it doesn't matter if you're not also a little crazy by my regular standards. Zach? You were the closest thing we've got to an athlete on the show. I should have shut up.
I'm quite a far cry from that at this point. I mean, I'm 20 years removed from. But to me, first of all, you would have to be an incredible running. Like, you would have to be the best running back or one of the best running backs in order for this not to affect. If we're talking about in college. Yeah. If you limit, are you talking about, Joe, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. Maybe you're talking about limiting in the NFL, but the way I'm reading this is you're limiting your college touches. So you get to the NFL? Is that what we're saying? Or are we limiting NFL touches?
That's how I read it. Limiting NFL touches.
Well, then what, yeah, okay. What NFL team's going to buy off on that, though? Because
there's also no contracts in college.
I think the point is well taken, to dictate terms to a team, whether it's college or the NFL, as a college athlete, you would have to be
that's
LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, that guy could probably dictate shit.
I think that's the problem
for his career.
The problem that people don't realize is, so to be a college athlete, like any college athlete, Division III, whatever, you're in the top 7% of all athletes. So then you end up in the NFL, which makes you like a fraction of a percent, because there are only 500 players in the NFL, or what whatever the math works out to, but and so you don't have leverage because there are so many people coming behind you that are willing to do that the NFL is not gonna it would be great. It would be nice to say, hey, yeah, I want to limit my usage, I want to limit my playing time. Debo saying I don't want to run the ball, they're going to ship him because they'll find somebody who will. Brandon Ayuk will do the same thing that Debo with at 90% of the effectiveness. Okay, fine, let's do that. There's always another guy. There's always the next man, which stinks. I mean, it's one of the things that drives me batty about playing fantasy football is not only do we dehumanize players because we're drafting and trading and doing that, and we made it a game, but they're also dehumanized in their own workspace. And so it's
the bitch of that is they can, even though it is the wrong decision. Like, no one's going to perform like Debo. It's a business. Ultimately, they're not going to lose money even if they're not good.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the long game beating the slightly long game, almost. Debo's playing a smart long game by saying that, but the team's got a 10, 20-year game going. It's just like, players don't matter. That's why we don't value.
It'll work out for both of them probably in the long run.
Yeah.
Next question. So. We are far behind.
Sorry, Tim Shady. Joe's got a knack for answering interesting questions, and it's a problem. Tim Shady, rebuilding, but in the need of starting running backs. Is it worth trying to acquire questionable running back ones like Marlon Mack?
If you're rebuilding, you don't need a running back.
Yeah, there is value in acquiring cheap players that will score points, so you can then trade them.
Very, very cheap. You get him so you can flip him later.
But it's about then you've got a timing issue. And if you can execute that, it's what Leo was talking about on your podcast. But it's difficult enough. I never aim for it. Even in my league, which are fairly active, I normally can't get it done.
I would rather roster young running backs and hope that they hit, because then there's value because you have the hope.
Like the next question,
future value.
What is the realistic ceiling for Brian Robinson?
I have a league where I'm rebuilding in. And for some, I couldn't get rid of Hunter Renfrow. I sent every team with a 24 first, my 24 second, and Hunter Renfrow for 24 first. Every single one rejected. I finally sent Hunter Renfrow for Brian Robinson and Isaiah Spiller.
There you go.
Because that's exactly what I was doing. I was going for young running backs that have that chance to either A, leap in value that I can trade, or B, in 2 years when I'm ready to compete, okay, probably less than that, hopefully, but when I'm ready to compete, they're ready to produce. So the better idea in that situation is to go for the younger guys with the upside, as opposed to trying to score points while you're rebuilding, which is the opposite of what you want.
And Cody, I think the upside is a strong running back too, honestly.
It seems like they will always want to have a receiving back, but he will be their touchdown scorer. It seems like they want him to be at least.
Nicholas J, I've actually thought about getting Thornton. You think Nico? No. I'll take Thornton over both of those guys.
Okay, I like Nico Collins still, and while I know De'Ami Brown won't be a thing, I still like him.
I am still sad about De'Ami Brown, but
I am too. I am very much too. But I think,
will it get it done right now? Again, that's why Zach is very good to see. Yeah, he should actually. That's about the value.
I think that would be. I think there's you send that because it's not going to get insta rejected. You have a shot at that working.
Or do you pay more to get Antonio Gibson,
Nope,
Josh Jacobs?
Even further away. Nope.
Yeah. If you're building specifically.
Right.
Gavin Grant, Swift, CMC, Barkley, and CEH, top 4 running backs on a contending team. Should I move CMC in case his value tanks this year with another injury? If you're contending, no. Because CMC's potential is to win you that league. So is Barkley, actually.
Yeah.
All of them are.
If you're contending, you want that on your roster. Swift, on the other hand, I know it's confusing with the age and dynasty, but Swift is the one I would be worried about if I'm a contending team. I want that value plus the production,
which
for a David Montgomery plus, for a Josh Jacobs, for a Fournette plus, and a first. And then you're doing both. You're getting points and value, and I feel safer doing that with someone like Swift. Joe, if you had a good chance, would you take an NFL scouting job right now? Honestly, no, because I think I would
pay
suck
nothing
at it.
and have to do a lot.
For me, it's family.
Don't get me wrong. I hate my life. I hate the job that I do. Well, I don't hate it. It's not fun. So I would take it just because it pays more than what I currently do, and I think that would be fun. I wouldn't take it on the principle I would suck at it. I legitimately shouldn't have that job. So no.
Peter grinding tape. I love it. I want to see this, but for me,
that's the thing. I would do it from home. I definitely wouldn't go to those schools.
Yeah, it's the being away from my family part. You're
gonna be gone for a while. You're going away.
And I got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I am home. Every day at a reasonable time. There's still light out. I can throw wiffle balls to my 6-year-old and watch him drop bombs over my head and laugh about it. And I love that. So, as much fun as being an NFL scout would be, I wouldn't do that.
Took the entire question an entirely different way. Much more real. I would fake doing any of the actual work because I would have seeing them would do nothing.
I'll go travel. Zach,
I was building that in. Yeah. As a job, I'm sure it's got more challenges than benefits. So.
Yeah,
Joe Herbert.
Too.
The Joes always talk to each other.
Yeah, that seems right to me. Sorry, I was reading instead of reading. They're talking to each other.
Reading
we
instead
can
of reading?
skip in my head instead of out loud. I thought you might get it, but they're talking to each other. We get to skip these. See, Russ, we're not as far behind as you think. Trade Diggs for Watson and Superflex. Which Watson?
Don't matter.
Gonna guess no.
Diggs.
Yeah. And Joe Herbert, I don't think teams want the headache of doing them.
Talk about contracts still.
Same conversation. I would love to be a scout. Yeah, right. They're having a really interesting conversation. I hate to skip it. Please read it in the comments. But I'm looking for, because that house has got that gleam in his eye.
AJ Brown question. Go back one.
Sell me on AJ Brown. No, just trade him to me. He's useless. Don't worry about it. Over DK. AJ Brown has always been hurt and never done better than DK.
I don't know if that's true. Has he? Never.
I don't know that's exactly true, but take it as read that it is. All right. I don't know what you need selling on. If you need selling on it, I don't want to sell you on it. AJ Brown's got a better quarterback. He's got a history of being that level of producer without being purely limited to a role like DK was. He's a more all-around player. He's excelled at being a more all-around player. He's what actually we mean when we say alpha. DK's just looks good with his shirt off and runs dime routes.
He looks great.
He does. Again, this is why I'm firmly convinced I can freely confuse the term alpha with looks good without his shirt off, because that's the only comparison between the way these two players are playing and excelling. And also, DK Metcalf doesn't have someone to fuel his alphaness here. AJ Brown does.
Last season, there was less than a point per game between the two of them, and that's with AJ Brown having a game with 0.3 points.
And the season before, AJ Brown was like,
I'm pretty sure if I dug into these numbers, I could strongly defeat that part of it. But even if that was true, I think it's really galaxy braining it to think AJ Brown and DK are the same player.
So, Nicholas, for me,
player, but does the cost between the two justify the difference in production?
They're similar to me. They're pretty similar value in fantasy. But the player that I want is the player that is going to drive the targets, not necessarily rely on the big play to score all the time. And that is going to be AJ Brown. The way AJ Brown is used, the way AJ Brown can be used, drives more targets than DK Metcalf, is less reliant on deep ball, touchdown, coverage breakdown, whatever you want to say. And this is not to say that DK Metcalf isn't an amazing wide receiver, because he is. But the type of wide receiver I want is going to be the type that drives the targets, because more often than not, you're gonna be better off.
And also, DK is significant. He's drafted below him. I mean, there should be a plus on DK to get AJ Brown, which would make it even, and I'd say fine. But if you're talking one-to-one, there's a reason AJ Brown is valued over.
I really wanted the Seahawks to take AJ Brown.
And also always injured, and that's just a synonym for injury prone. And we know it's not a thing. That's why no one puts it in the comment anymore, but it's not a thing. Give Devontae Pittman and a 23 first for Jefferson. Overpaying? No. That's good.
That's a win.
I'll take it.
Easton at 12-team Superflex, 4 PPR, 7 keepers. Trying to get Mac Jones for Michael Pittman, AJ Dillon, and a 23 second in a Superflex? Yeah, I don't think that's fair, but I would do it if it was on the table. Like, Mac Jones, decent quarterback. I actually think he's got top 12 potential.
How far off do you think
in
Jones
a Superflex are? A top 24 wide receiver for a potentially top 12 quarterback in a Superflex?
You're the only person I think I've ever heard say that Mac Jones is possibly a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think he's top 12, but maybe someday. If he is, I'll be really happy because I'm a Pats fan.
Fair enough. Wait, is June Superflex ADP up yet? Yes. Okay, hold on. Mac Jones is 39th overall. And Pittman is 57th overall. And it's more than I thought it would be. But still, A.J. Dillon is 23rd. I would take the players over Mac Jones.
Fair enough.
7 keepers. That's rookie picks and keepers. That hurts my brain a little bit. Unless this is redraft and that's a second round startup. In which case, then I take that Pittman, AJ Brown.
It says a 23. So
yeah,
right.
Rookie picks and keepers. That's interesting.
Regardless, it is not Mac Jones.
It is for me, but that's fine. Jones has Trey Lance and Joe Burrow. I don't think that, again, that's a roster doesn't matter. Kind of
their value to their team doesn't change the value of your team.
Hey, man, I hit Tyquan Thornton's going to be great. So, like, Mac Jones has got to be top 12. Joe, dangerous health concerns, ability to make money in college and being a non-round 1 RB pick will be enough to some have usage limits.
But again, I don't think
college teams don't care about the players any more than NFL teams were. I don't think college teams would accept this. I don't think NFL teams would accept this. It'd be like, well, yes,
that there are going to be people dumb enough to not care about their health concerns,
especially at running back.
But Joe, to your point now with the NIL, the name, image, likeness, you could theoretically make money in college and not have to continue playing, as a professional. Like you could do that. Be able to. Yeah.
Andrew, Marcus Brown or Chris Godwin in a PPR league?
We were talking about this before. This is when you muted me.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Feels like ages ago.
Marcus Brown or Chris Godwin? Again, I think I'm the only one on the Marcus Brown straight up side. Everyone else wants Godwin. I stand alone. Joe, like some NFL players don't even like football at all.
Yeah, I mean, then they turn into Jamarcus Russell.
No, reminds me of a story my wife told me where there was someone in her school growing up who played basketball from the age of 3. He was scouted, had odds on to go towards the draft, and he literally just quit after college. He just wasn't interested. And the way he explained it to his mom, later told to my wife, was, I've been playing since I'm 3. It's not a game. It's not fun. I want to do something different. Like, I have a chance to be in but he wasn't like a top round prospect or nothing. It's not a guarantee for setting yourself up for life. Imagine it gets very boring when it starts being a game at age 12 and it's a job and it's a job you've been working from at a kid. I imagine it happens to a lot of players.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do it? Again, limits potential job landing spot and earnings.
Yeah.
Guys, not saying it's right.
This was me cheating when I read up.
Yes, sir. Tanner Morris, what would you buy or sell Russell Gage for? I don't think he has much value. I think he's...
Well, I think the thinking is that he'll play Godwin's role while Godwin's hurt.
No, I actually kind of like him as like a discount breakout. Like, there's some potential he could be usable, but like I'm not very into it.
Done well enough in replacing people, but like you're not going to really pay for that hope that it happens.
That's where my
third for him without thinking about it.
Third is fine. Over that, I'd sell. Yeah,
scoop up those vacated targets.
There you go. I wonder if NFLPA pushes for stuff like that, Joe. I hope
PA never has any leverage to pull something like that off.
I'd be interested to see, and I don't know this, but like a lot of the contractual stuff is collectively bargained before it even, and especially the rookie pay scale and that sort of thing. I mean, I know they sneak little riders and things in on contracts, but most of that is collectively bargained.
Yeah.
You guys rock. I had no roster spots for any second rounders anyway.
See? Perfect.
No time for them. Joe, I don't know. It's just an idea, Joe. It's a good thing to have ideas about. Something needs to change. I'm sure. Running backs would... okay. We're in that conversation again.
Running backs would absolutely be all over that because they deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah,
it really the rookie wage scale really screwed over running backs.
We're definitely not disagreeing with you, Joe. We're just like it's
the
just
reality
not
of it.
it's not the way the NFL in the world works. I mean,
we're just cynics about the world. Not that we don't wish.
Unfortunately,
it was
it's realism instead of cynicism,
and would support as little influence as we would have if we could. But our outlook is generally cynicism when it comes to the world. Lance Mercer, Chubb or Akers in a 12-team Superflex? Chubb.
Yeah, I'm still taking Chubb in that. Akers has the potential to gain value, I guess, but I think
that's more of a split than anyone has ever wanted to admit. I do think he's returned and healthy, but he's back to being a split running back backfield. People right now are...
I was just on Drinking and Talking Fantasy Football and doing an NFC West preview show, and it was Alexis Kraft was there for the Rams, and she was huge on Kyren Williams. And I asked her, Kyren Williams is a receiving back. Do you think this is going to suck for Akers' receiving game? She's like, honestly, yes, 100%. And I think also because Darrell Williams is out in a year, so I was I framed the question because that's how I felt also. They could easily go committee and Akers lose all of that receiving work. And they drafted a guy who is there for that, that's a skill set.
I think that's where the team plays the position. It's been pretty consistent. It's not like Akers has it and he'll lose it to someone. The team plans to split the position and he'll keep splitting the position. Joe. Oh, okay, we're back to this, which is fascinating, but Russ has that special gleam in his eye in terms of the time frame, so I'm skipping a little bit.
Russ is sleepy.
Me too. Akers and Diggs for Fournette and Mike Williams.
So far. Eckler and Diggs. Much more than that.
You got a first on the other side, but
I want Diggs over a random first, and I would rather have Eckler over Fournette and Williams.
I know. If my team sucks, I honestly take the Fournette in the first side, and I trade Fournette when he starts scoring points, and Mike Williams when someone thinks he's going to score points.
You faded away at the end there.
I would trade Mike Williams now because the minute point season starts, people are being a little hesitant on his upside.
I mean, all you need is 2 weeks in a row, Peter, where he catches a touchdown, and we have last year where you could have sold Mike Williams for a top 10 wide receiver. People were all excited about him.
That's true. It's not like he's not good or on a good offense. He's got Justin Herbert.
I was going to say his quarterback is very good.
He's a very good quarterback, who we all knew was going to be great. No one missed on that. A couple years out, turns out no one was wrong about that. I think we were all wrong.
I don't know. Riley Bymaster had Herbert just nailed.
Some people, again, this is why I don't evaluate quarterback. I
think the Herbert thing was the fatigue that we talk about, because we were talking about Herbert as the QB1 the year before Kyler decided to play football.
Yeah, but he I don't know. It was weird watching him, and we can talk about this later. Doesn't have to be right on this show, but he was a weird eval. He had a long arm motion. It was interesting, but he also had an absolute cannon. I've heard. So,
what does he throw?
Piss missiles. I was in my write-up. Yes, it was.
Above grief. First time long ago. Okay. First time, long time. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm tired, I guess. I'll blame it on that. Got a trade in my inbox weeks ago. I've been mulling over. Sutton, early 23 first for Lamb. Ooh, that's a good one.
I would take Sutton in an early first over Lamb.
Are you willing to project early first, though? Normally we try and dismiss that.
It has to be super obvious. Super obvious.
To me, next year, an early first is in the first 8 picks for normally. Again, this is a really good class, Peter. So an early first.
But there's
when you say early first.
Yeah, I actually don't mind this because there's little loss here. Even if CeeDee Lamb breaks out, having Sutton who could also break out and a 23 first, especially if we lean early. I think you're fine.
I would feel a little crappy about it if CeeDee Lamb became what we want him to be and Sutton didn't. Because then I'm getting I won't be sad because I have a 23 first, but I'd be a little sad about it. But I still think I side Sutton in the first.
Yeah, there's less complete risk of value loss. The last one we looked at was both old players who were great, but the value doesn't go up even if they continue to be great. So I was a little more hesitant, and I went the CeeDee Lamb side, but this side, a little more positive on it. Delaney Walker was a thing with Mariota. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Again, not that I don't want the pro argument, but just he's good enough to support good players. Just good enough. And
Kendall Wright was a thing too. So there you go. That's a name.
Corey Davis had a top 25. Okay. So he's saying Mariota is just as good. No, I'm saying he's good enough to get the ball.
We never said good. We said good enough.
Well, and Pitts is good. Like that's the real crux of it. Is
Pitts is good enough?
Is good.
It's a balance, and I think Pitts is good enough, and Mariota is just good, reasonably good enough that he can just. All he has to do is do what he did last year and not be so unlucky with touchdowns. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Even a little bit less, and he would still
put up another exactly 1,000 yards, but score 6 or 7 touchdowns, and we're thrilled.
Oh, we're amazed at that point. But he can even drop to like 700-800 yards and just have a normal touchdown rate, and easily broke out. 14 teams who flex start 9. Zach Wilson, Elijah Moore on a 24 first or a 24 third for Kyler.
Yes, I would easily send that for Kyler.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about Zach Wilson or Elijah Mitchell. In a 14-teamer, no, I still don't care.
I haven't watched Obi-Wan yet.
Even more valuable.
And you can get these shirts on, not that it's sponsored, but the money goes to charity, so I thought I'd mention it. What's it called?
ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com.
It's not sponsored, it's just the money goes to charity, literally. Straight to it.
It's okay. Cool. Obi-Wan's not great, but I don't dislike it.
I gave up on the remakes of remakes. I spoiled enough of the things I loved when I was young. I just don't want to watch them anymore. I can compartmentalize at this point that it's never going to be what it was. It's just a different world almost.
I
get it. But
I like the new trilogy. The prequels were shit, but I've liked everything else otherwise.
I watch good original stuff. Otherwise, I have plenty of books to read until they start making some more original stuff. That's been my attitude. There's been good stuff. Like, talking of TV shows, The Good Place blew me away. I thought that was fun as hell.
So effing good.
I've rewatched it way too many times. There's been a whole bunch of good new original content. It's not like we're in a dry spell. It's just the remake stuff.
All right, fellas, I need to go to bed. You can keep going, but I need to go.
I'm just
skimming. Too, by the way.
It looks like we're at the end anyway, though, dude. Thanks for coming on, man. See you next week, hopefully, maybe?
I think so. Yeah, I think I'll be here.
All right.
Later, fellas.
Bye. All right, Zach. I think we just have a few more. I lied to Outhouse. We got a couple. 12 teams to flex tight end premium. Was offered Mahomes, DK, and Damian Pitts, who I think I'm way too low on, but it's because I don't like making those kind of bets. It's a very reasonable thing to do. It's just not me. For Fields, Javonte, and Waddle. I think I just want
the Mahomes side, I think.
Yeah, I like Waddle. Don't get me wrong, that's pretty nice. But I mean, just Mahomes and Damian Pierce is fine, and DK, despite the argument earlier, he's good. I think he's going to be disappointing this year in his AO drop, but he still looks great with his shirt off.
Yeah, I think the one difference maker is Mahomes. So
yeah, and that's what I went. Javonte should be, but you're selling him as if he already is. Right. And I tend to do those moves. Fields Mills, don't know what that means. That's
Davis Mills is the quarterback. Yeah, that's true.
There's a little symbol.
True, that's your team. Looks good.
That is, in fact, your team. Do you guys like college ball? I don't. I pay attention only to it as they become declared for the NFL. I honestly don't know anything about it. That's why I'm so at loss with most of that stuff.
I specifically don't watch college for that reason, because I want to be basically fresh when I watch players come in when I look at them. So I don't, Paul. I'm sorry. Go Black Bears. Go Maine Black Bears. I don't know.
This is actually a question you should answer all by yourself. So, should I sell Renfro or hold him? I just traded Burks for Renfro in a second round. Renfro's undervalued, but that's that value on Burks. Wow.
Yeah, I think I would have. Yeah.
It's painful in several different directions there, Joe. I don't think I would have done that Burks trade, and I like Renfro. I don't think you find value on Renfro. Russ was just running through all he had to do to get something for him.
Yeah.
He's just a points player because he's small, and let's face it, he's small, white, and a slot receiver, and people don't like that.
Yep.
Okay.
No, you hit it. Like, that's it. That's like, I love Renfro, but the value is on the Burke side by quite a bit.
This is actually what I would try and do. I wouldn't sell Swift just to trade him just to trade him. He's a great player who should well finish in the top 12 this year. I just think some people will trade for him and they value him right now in terms of running back ranks like he has that top 5 upside, and I don't see that in his stats, not his play, because I don't even watch. So I would literally try and trade him because I still want the running back production. So if I've got him, I'm aiming for a top 12 running back that's less valued and a 23 first. Or if you want to switch positions, yeah, you could go for an elite tier wide receiver, honestly, with Swift. But honestly, I'd try and keep the running back production because you said your team was a contender. So Jacobs and Evans would be a great target. But I think even going a little younger than Evans, like a Sutton, like a Amon-Ra St. Brown, like a Donald Mooney, is still good. But Evans is a good target as well. Zach, what would you do if you had Swift on your roster as a particular type of trader? Would you just keep him? Because I think I might be the only one who's always sell Swift.
No, I don't mind selling Swift, and I like that idea. I think that I would go, and again, with your running back wide receiver pairing, I'm going to try to get. Again, we keep bringing up Fournette, but somebody like Fournette, somebody like Aaron Jones, one of these running backs that people are out on because they're older, out on because they think they're going to be replaced soon, and then do the young wide receiver. So whatever that looks like, whether it's CeeDee Lamb, whether it's Sutton, although I think you could probably get more than Fournette and Sutton for Swift, but it's that. So when I'm building, especially when I'm building and trying to continue to compete, I am looking for older production out of the running back and the young wide receiver that I think has already been established. So that's what I'm doing, Gavin. So I like the Fournette that Peter keeps bringing up, but I would try to go younger than Evans.
Chad says we're not reading all the questions. I'm not reading all the questions, probably. That would be my fault. I'm getting some of the meaning wrong. I apologize for that. I'm trying my best.
Have you ever read Peter's tweets, man? Like he's been tweeting at me for like 5 years now, and maybe has like 2 complete like unmarred by typos tweets. So like the fact that we're reading the questions and you can understand any of it, like that's an absolute win.
This is one of the questions of so more than one, I assume, that I missed while I was trying to skim read there. Jar Web asks, I'm the best team in a win now, going for 3-peat. Congrats. But should I push for this anyway? Trade Kelsey, a 23 second, a 24 second for Fant. This year pick 11, 23 first, and a 24 third from the worst team. Okay, so you expect them to be high picks. It seems like too much of a downgrade for me. Yeah. Like I want a 23 first. That's where I start getting tempted to trade Kelsey because his points are probably still worth more than Fant plus. Look, there he says the 23 first. I did miss that. It's because it's out of water. I don't care about pick 11. The 23 first is tempting. Why Fan, though? Dang, I'd rather Hunter Henry.
Well, because he's targeting the worst team in the league to try to get the 23 first. I don't mind this. With that pick 11, you mentioned Trey McBride. Trey McBride is right in that area, especially if we're in a tight end premium. So I don't mind doing that, especially if you're looking at that pick 11 to potentially add McBride. But you're definitely taking a downgrade this year from.
And Kelsey's not going to die on the vine. He'll be playing this year. He'll be playing next year, and you'll have to watch it. But I think you're getting out at least a year early rather than trying to do it a year late. In Dynasty, that's not normally a terrible idea. And since you're getting that 23 first and possibly McBride, I think it's fine. Yeah, I think that's if you're already won the league last year and over the last 2 years, I'm assuming the rest of your team can carry you over that loss. So yeah, I'll probably try that. All right. Trying to see if I skipped any others in this range. See, Jar reminded me that I missed this one. Gavin, assists with the good guys, right? Yes. Joannis, okay. These are all disjointed at this point.
We're a little behind the chat. That's weird.
That's typical. I'm trying to find Abbott's first comment. Above Greece's first comment, sorry. Yeah, I must have missed that one too. There we go. From this trade he was talking about, where we were talking about Lamb and the early first, he said it's pretty much guaranteed, and Russ asked, you have to be pretty certain, and he's confirming that it's pretty certain. So yeah, we lent the certain than the first in this one. See, I'm now cautious. I'm like, what? I don't want to miss another one, so I'm carefully looking through them, and we're meant to be going so that you can see your family and stuff.
No, I just need to go to bed. Like I'm up again early, so
I think that's all the ones I missed. Sorry if I missed any others, guys. If you asked a question you didn't get to me, ask me again on Twitter if you don't mind, and I'll be sure to get you some thoughts on it. We do try and get through everything, but again, we sit here for 2 to 3 hours, and we have Betty by times, so sometimes we have to skip out. But thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Some really good questions. Joe, questions that I honestly can't even have opinions on because they're too good. And really appreciate it. Thanks very much. And we'll see you again next week at 9:30 when I'll try and do a better job reading the questions. What's that say?
Peter, look over there.